pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GL Chapter 38, Section 18, and Governor Healy's March 29, 2023 revised order extending remote participation by all members in any meeting of a public body. This meeting of the Select Board will be conducted both in person and via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with a right and a requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the town's website. For this meeting, members of the public and committee members may attend the meeting in person for those who wish to do so remotely. For those who are not in person, every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. Pursuant to MGL 7C 30A, Section 20F, after notifying the chair of the public body, any person may make a video or audio recording of an open session of a meeting of a public body or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Beginning of the meeting, the chair shall inform other attendees of any such recordings. This meeting is being recorded by the Berkshire Edge, Berkshire Eagle, CTSB, Town of Great Barrington, and other members of the public. Any member of the public wishing to speak at the meeting must receive permission of the chair. Listing of agenda items are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed. Other items not listed may be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. So we're going to start with a motion to convene as sewer commissioners.
I'll make a motion to convene as sewer commissioners.
Will second the motion?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, there is sewer abatements that have been brought to us. So I need a motion to approve the sewer abatements through DPW recommendations. Joe, do you want to talk a little bit?
If I could just.
Yeah, sure, go right ahead.
Clarification on the memo to the select board. The period for the abatements is 7/1/2022 to 12/31/2022. So that was the wrong period that's on there.
So 7/31/22 to 12/31/22.
Yep.
Okay, so a motion to approve the sewer abatements for 7/31/22 through 12/31/22 that are have been recommended by the DPW.
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Motion to return as select board.
Make a motion to return to select board.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All, that's unanimous. We have on our agenda 5 sets of minutes listed. There are only 2 that need approval. The ones in June we've already approved. So I need a motion to approve the August 2nd, 2023 and the July 10th, 2023 minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the July 10th, 2023 and August 2nd, 2023 minutes as written.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Select board's announcements and statements.
Nothing from me tonight.
Eric.
Yeah, I just wanted to say a few things. I want to say thank you to Heather Campbell for her hard work organizing this coming weekend's community tag sale in Housatonic. There'll be 20 plus houses all having tag sale in the town center on Saturday the 26th. And I also want to thank town staff for helping with the permitting and helping Heather organize it all. It should be a good time. Thank you.
Thank you. Town managers report.
Okay, thanks, Steve. I just have a few updates for you this evening. First up on my list is Houston Waterworks. And I just wanted to mention that and remind everyone out there that we met in executive session with our attorney on August 7th, and we will again at our next meeting on September 11th to just continue our strategy sessions. I'm also doing some research now into this hydrant issue on Division Street, and hope to have a brief update to share with you at that September 11th meeting as well. I wanted to remind everyone while I have an opportunity here that the informational meeting for Housatonic Waterworks is scheduled for Wednesday night at 6 o'clock. That Zoom link is on their website, but we'll also be sharing it widely on our social media pages, on our website, and we will do a reverse 911 call as well. So anyone signed up for Code Red will get another reminder from us. And then lastly, I just wanted to mention that we received the official notice of filing today from Houstonic Waterworks rate case with the DPU. That was stamped into our clerk's office just before noon today. So we'll get to work on the PR piece this week, and a copy of that that rate case filing is already posted on our website under the Houstonic Waterworks tab. So anyone that would like to see a copy of it can find that located there. Next item on my list is a building commissioner update, and I just wanted to mention publicly tonight that Ed May officially retired last week as our building commissioner for 16, 17 years. So I wanted to thank him for his many years of service to the town of Great Barrington, and also wish him well in his retirement. We've been recruiting for this position for quite a while now. It's very challenging to find a replacement candidate, but we're very close to having a plan in place, and I'll also share an update on that as well at our next meeting. And for now, we're doing the best we can to get by. We do have some temporary coverage. It's limited, but I just ask everyone that interacts with that office to just be patient with us. We are trying to fill that position. And then the last item I have here is a town projects public works update, and Joe's gonna dive in here in just a minute. But I wanted to mention for anyone that missed it, that there's a very lengthy list of projects that are in various stages of completion in the posted public packet for tonight. And Joe's here to just walk you through that list and provide a briefing.
Like me to go through the whole list?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, well, if you have questions as we go, just solve it. All right, so Main Street, we have a few things going on, as some of you may have seen. We did this year, we did the gardens, and we're continuing to expand those. We'll be putting footballs in for the spring to make things pop a little better earlier. We have under contract the two crosswalks, the one at Rotary Way and the one at Railroad Street. That work, the majority of that work is slated for between Labor Day and Columbus Day, so we don't interrupt the season. We also, as part of that, there are 9 locations, I call them corrective action locations, where there may have been trip hazards in the past that were identified. The other item we have going, we actually started constructing on today is the 2 Main Street bus stop. And just south of the town hall. Street lighting, we finalized a street lighting package with National Grid. We're converting all the street lights to LEDs. That will take 6 to 10 months, depending on the emergency work National Grid has in the meantime. But we should see a substantial savings, $20,000 a year, depending on the rates. And well as I think we get a small grant from them too. Phase 1 paving for the town has been complete. Giddings, Coral, Ramsey, Focus, Commonwealth, Stillwell. Phase 2 paving, we ordered a contractor. That's going to be Grove Street, Waback Street, and Chester Bridge. Again, that will be done this summer, into the fall. Phase 3 paving, we're working on the design. That will be Line Valley Road. The plans can be out for bid and do the construction once the school shut down next year. We're working with the school district to somehow partner to create some parking where people are parking anyways. Pearl Street, when our July 10th rain event we had here, was pretty hard. Water came down, paralleling Walnut Street across 40 down to there. So we're going to do some regrading and refitting to that road and in the water. And I think we get in our under infrastructure, there's another piece of that also that'll take. Art Street, Housatonic, we had thoughts of resurfacing that road, as we looked at it, the drainage needs work there. We're trying to put together a plan to replace the drainage depending on the availability of FY 24 money that they get done in FY 24, if not, we in the FY 25 budget. Castle Hill, we recently replaced internally with the highway guys and Wilkinson. We did 200 feet of collapsed drain line, Castle Hill towards the end. Very excited about this one here. Liquid de-icing, you see it using the state highways and stuff like that. Last year we had weather that changed at times. This should help solve a lot of those problems. So the highway department now is installing the pad over there, the de-icing equipment will be here in the middle of September. Hopefully we'll have one truck ready to go to hit our main routes this year. Depending on how successful it is, we'll migrate it into sidewalks and expand it into other streets. Crack sealing has hadn't been done in a couple of years here. Basically, that's sealing the cracks on our roads that open up, shortly after they're paved. So, we're focusing on that Chapter 92 money. We'll begin an application in this week to get it approved. The private roads, I think I shared with you before, and Mark has shared with you in some of your meetings that we perform winter maintenance on quite a few private roads. We've notified the homeowners that we will be inspecting them, and we recently finished the inspection and sent out letters of the work that has to be performed. And we asked it to be performed, before November, just so we as a town experienced a substantial amount of damage to equipment on private roads because of potholes and tree branches and things of that nature. Then people have been very responsive. So it seems to be working. Infrastructure improvements. We have a drainage improvement project where up on Quarry Street, there's a cross-country line that comes down. It ends up down off of Humphrey Street, which overflows every year, gets plugged up. Ice is over Humphrey Street. We're gonna intercept that with street and tie it into our drainage system. That's in the design phase right now, and hope to have it done by the fall of this year. Drainage and sewer, Taconic Ave and Castle Hill area. That's a multi-year project. As we also seen during the July 10th storm, we had water coming down the hill pretty intensely all the way into Main Street. So we clearly identified the work that needs to be done. So we're in phase 1 design right now, and depending on funding, we'll finish the design in FY 25 for phase 1 and hopefully start construction in FY 26. That's total cost in today's dollars for this project is probably between 17 and 20 million dollars. So we're gonna have to decipher how we're gonna pay for that and how long it's gonna take. This is what I was referring to with the Grove Street. Because of the building that's been done on Klitsky and Omega, that all drains into a drainage ditch that comes down. It comes down across 41 by Walker Street under the railroad. So we're gonna look at that to see if there's a better way to handle that. And probably even dig back in to make sure the private roads up there are maintaining their stormwater detention like they should be. Just food for thought as we get into future developments. Sometimes we have to look just a little bit further beyond what is on the plan and see what impact it could have. Transfer station, we're in the process of updating our permits for recycling and the landfill closure with the height on those. So we're working on that. We're also in the process of replacing one compactor. Sidewalks west of Lewis. We kicked off that job. You probably see some trees marked over there, some paint marks on the ground. That's combined with the bus stop that you see out here happening. So within probably 2 to 3 weeks, you'll see us up on West Ave. We'll be working with emergency services and probably shutting down West Ave to local traffic only. We're going to address some of the 3 issues that are impacting the power lines that feed Fairview Hospital. So, we all want to preserve those and make it safer and continue with power up there. The rail trail, Woodstock Rail Trail, which is basically from the Marigas to Main Street, which is town-owned property, it's out to bid, the bids are due back on the 24th of this month, and we're anticipating construction this year.
Joe, can I just ask you on that one, that we're still just discussing like an airport mix
Correct.
going down there, right? Nothing more.
Yep, so it'll be an airport mix, it's actually gonna be. You call it airport, but it's like a driveway mix, a 3/4 stone driveway mix, so it's not, so bikes and people and wheelchairs and everything can work on it.
Yeah.
And if we ever decide to pave it, we could pave right on top of that.
Oh,
One other sidewalk improvement that we're doing some design work on was brought up by the select board is the top of Castle Hill where Alpha Road starts going up to Haley. So try to tie that together on that major intersection. Wastewater treatment plant, or wastewater treatment system, we have 4 pump stations in progress, upgrades in progress right now. So the tune is just over $4 million. We're about a third of the way through that. We have electrical service that we own that goes into the fairground pump station that had 2 failures on it last year. And we're an emergency generator. So we're currently working with legal to determine what we have for options as far as the land we own down there in Houston Street now. But we'll tell you what, we'll have that work done this year. The collection system improvements. Every year for the last 2 years and continuing this year for the 3rd year, we do the infiltration inflow study. This past year, we probably seen this around town, seen a manhole, we were epoxying the manhole to contain the infiltration. It looks like the last year's study is gonna yield an FY24 construction that's in the budget to line, the sewer line on Castle or Christian Hill. So and then this year we'll study what's gonna be the FY25 plan. Town buildings. Thank you for and the voters approved asset management, some money for asset management program. Chris also had gotten some money for a grant for this, so we've been to 5 of the buildings and the reports are being generated, so we can help categorize in priorities. The highway garage, God forbid if we ever had a fire in that garage, we would lose everything we own for highway, and there's no fire alarm system in there or security system, so we have the money approved this year, and that's under contract and should be done, by late fall. Senior center is gonna be active, an active little place this year. We replaced the parking lot with money that was approved a few years ago. We'll be in front of the Conservation Commission later this week. We will have the senior center interrupted the operation, and we'll work that out with the director down there. We just upgraded the electrical panel down there. It was not up to code, and within a couple of weeks, they'll have the new dishwasher installed. So we're headed the way to getting a commercial kitchen in there as time goes on, the money's available. Town hall, we have a couple projects going on. We have engaged a company to do a full circuit TV system, basically in the foyer area. We've had some problems in the past there, so we'll control that a little bit. We also have a fire alarm panel that needs to be upgraded. Currently, the town hall is operating on a 90-day certificate for the elevator. We failed our last test because the panel is so old, it wouldn't talk correctly to the elevator and do the things we should. So we have the money already in the budget to take care of that. And hopefully we'll get that taken care of within the 90 days. Working with the elevator companies is sometimes a little difficult. And actually tomorrow I have a meeting with the elevator company because there are some upgrades that are needed in that elevator. So we'll look at that and see what's involved. Elevator repairs, Mason PD elevators up, inspected, running. We have the annual certificate all set. Town hall I just explained to you. The drop dead date is November 1, so we're up against the courthouse. We have the tenant over in the LP school. We've been working on the carpet replacements room by room as they can let us in there. We replaced all the lighting. We have a list of items that we're working on for the next contract we have with them for the rental agreement. Town hall campus, the designs. little bit beyond the conceptual stages now, the intent is to go out to bid before next construction season, and hopefully spring construction, and we'll get into that in a little bit of detail later shortly. Mason Library, we were able to get one of the rooftop AC units up and running. The second AC unit, which was originally planned to be installed in the spring, is delayed because of equipment and supply issues. That will be here this fall, and we'll have that up and running this fall and ready for next year. The HVAC control system is quite old. It had affect the PCs that run it don't turn on. So we've had to do some side controls in order to keep things running. But that's an expense that we will have to talk about as we move forward. The bench and stair project is moving through the town committees. Had a discussion with the historic district commission earlier or during the last week. Like work to do to pull it all together. I'm sure we'll get there. Everybody has a good attention to, it's kind of tight enough, somebody can make it work. Ramsdale, we have abated the asbestos on the old boiler. The new boiler installation is underway and is anticipated to be done within the next couple of weeks. I have a company exploring, it's not on this, but I have a company exploring a control system, a very simple control system, because that building is not used that often, and it's one of our highest fuel users. So I think we're gonna be able to remotely control that and turn the heat on and off, and we have the boilers up and down as we need to conserve energy, which we're looking at that. And as most of you know, probably been by there, the handicap access project is underway. The library is currently shut down. We're in the week one of the shutdown. We're building and pouring concrete as we go. GVPD HVAC system has not worked there in many years. We put a mini split in the dispatch area, which seems to be working rather well. And it's not a Band-Aid approach. That was designed, and we had put a control module in it that'll tie into the future HVAC system for the building. So it's a step forward. Kind of a baby shot. Emergency generator replacement is slated for this fall, and again, it'll be done by now, but it's a quick development. Let's see here, moving on to parks. The building is ground group has built nearly 20 picnic tables and placed it throughout our parks. We're in the process of building benches. And when I say we're doing it, it's we actually compare cost of buying versus building. And we're actually building picnic tables and getting them out there for a few $100. The benches are the old, I'll call them Charlie Castronova benches, with the concrete uprights and then the wooden slats. So they're, on the, before they start, as they start their day or on the rain days, they're pouring those and getting them ready to go. So those will be ready to run in the spring. Memorial Field reconstruction bid opening is scheduled for September 19th, I believe it is. I think that's where we're at right now. And the plan is to have grass and sod growing this year. Those ready to run in spring. As part of that, we have the units in the contract that we can refresh. The Olympia Meadow softball field, the infield, and possibly dugout. That ain't funding. Doing Grove Street parks, the commission has created a subcommittee and have obtained public input. We actually have Grove Street Park back in the hands of the consultant now, and we'll have a schematic for the next parks meeting. Bridges, Cottage Street, Division Street, and the Brown Bridge. Mass DOT currently has them all slated for advertising in FY25, and that could change that funding. But if that happens, we're gonna have a busy little year in this town. Brookside Road Bridge is the next bridge that is on our agenda to focus on for replacement. The temporary bridge, when it comes out of Division Street, will head there. And then we'll work on replacing that bridge. So we might be 2 or 3 years ahead of ourselves with engineering, but we'll have it ready to go as we approach that. Vin Street over Williams River, it looks tough, it looks in, questionable shape at times, but it's actually very structural, sound bridge. And I'm still waiting for the report on that to determine, what we can get for the money we spend. So I'm expecting a couple proposals, you spend X amount of dollars, you'll get 40 years out of it, you spend X amount of dollars, you'll get 70 years out of it. And we'll make that call, when we see the results. Cemeteries, we're in the process of engaging consultants, drafting the rules, regulations, and recommend fees to the town. I've said this a few times, I'll say it one more time, frankly, don't tell me not to say it anymore, but just a fact for everyone to consider, Great Barrington has 100 miles of roads. FY 23, we replaced nearly 10,000 feet of road. FY 24, we're looking at about 8,400. This equates to replacement of roads occurring every 50 years. Roads are designed for 10 to 25 years. So we all know where we're heading. This food for thought for the future. Any questions?
Appreciate all the information.
Yeah, thank you for.
Real helpful, and we appreciate everything you're doing for it.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, licenses and permits. Karen Beckwith for Great Barrington Fish and Game requesting 10 one-day beer and wine licenses for their annual turkey shoot from 12 noon to 6 p.m. on the following days: September 17th, September 24th, October 1st, October 8th, October 15th, October 22nd, October 29th, November 5th, November 12th, and November 19th, 2023. Anyone online?
I saw Karen on earlier, but I do not see her at the moment.
Karen, if you're on, just raise your hand if you're not. Unless someone objects, do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the permits for the Great Barrington Fish and Game, 10-day beer and wine license for their annual turkey shoots from 12 noon to 6 p.m. from September 17th, September 24th, October 1st, October 8th, October 15th, October 22nd, October 29th, November 5th, November 12th, and November 19th, 2023.
I will second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Gonna just move things around a little bit, because this usually goes under licenses and permits, so, Louis Ogieni for the Josh Billings Runaground, request to use town roads.
Yes, we have, we're putting together a date for this year for September 10th, Sunday. And, the race would start at 9:30. It would be through Main Street, up to Conics, Alford Road, and then out of town. We also, I just want to tell you, we have a really good incident command center set up. I'm the commander of that. And, we have all the safety measures in place for police, fire, ambulance, whatever we need. We have a group of people there who are watching the race every part of the way. We have, we're monitoring right from the beginning. And, that's in place. And we have, we have the approval of all the police departments. They want our route, and they've supplied us for what we need. Officers, we have supplied that. And, we're ready to move. Just need your approval for blessing to start the race in Great Barrington and go down to the Main Street.
You have a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the use of town roads to the Josh Billings Runaround.
Second.
Any questions, comments, concerns?
Great.
You guys have done this enough, so you know, you work within town and.
46,
Yeah.
47, but it didn't start in Great Barrington in the old days. It started at Mount Greylock High School and came down. And then I think it started with the fourth one. It started in Great Barrington.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving back to previous business. And there is an executive summary, Mark, you want to go over it for the Housatonic Waterworks temporarily for residents and customers.
Sure, so, I believe this is our, fourth conversation. This is, in reference to the $250,000 earmark from the state. And I did insert in your packet for tonight a revised executive summary. based on the direction the board seemed to be heading in during your earlier conversations. So the new recommendation, I just want to remind everyone again, is just a jumping off point, just so we can get this conversation moving along. And it includes a consideration for bottled water and laundry related expenses in addition to filtration, which, as you recall, the first recommendation was focused primarily on whole house filtration systems. So since it's likely that more households will qualify now, since we have these two new categories, I recommended reducing the reimbursement amount from $500 to $300 so that we can accommodate up to approximately 830 requests. So I'll leave it there.
And then we can open this up to a second round if this is what we decide.
Yeah, I did mention in here
Yes.
because it is unclear how many households are directly impacted and we don't know at this time how many households will apply for funding. If there is funding remaining, we can revisit this conversation and we go from there.
You gentlemen from Housatonic, what's your thoughts?
So I guess my thoughts are kind of based back where we, for the first go around of this, I would like to see it at the 500 or less, but it for filtration and people bringing receipts in, like I've said in the past, you know. We've had a lot of public comment and back and forth, and I, several times have been, it got emails and stuff saying that I'm blanketing all of Housatonic with water problems and stuff. So I expect that there's a lot of people out there that will not need the whole house filtration system, but would be interested in just, whether it's under the sink or countertop for drinking water, you know? I think that we're asking a lot of town staff, and I think we're asking for a lot of confusion if we open it up to laundry and bottled water. I understand, I buy bottled water every week. It's not convenient, that's why I would be looking into something under my sink or something, but I think it's asking a lot. I mean, I went through a few laundry mats. I mean, change machines don't necessarily hand out receipts. I see the newer ones have credit card scanners. I just, I think starting out, we got to start out in a charted territory. And then as we go through, we see who's requesting money, who needs it the most with, you know, permanent solutions, like a good filtration system. You know, there's upkeep, there's upkeep with everything. You gotta always repaint your house, everything else. So you will have to buy new filters and replacement things. But I think we need to start there and then open it up. And I understand that, you know, most of the board was leaning to any sort of receipt. You know, the town's gonna give you $20 or whatever it is, but I think we need to just focus on bigger solutions that are, yeah, at the end of the day, still a Band-Aid, but they're a bigger Band-Aid than, you know, receipts for laundry. And, you know, I have neighbors that, yes, they all have to go and do their laundry, but I think that whole house filtration under the sink or countertop filtration is where we should start.
Ben?
Yeah, I mean, I hear that argument and I appreciate it. It's just, you know, we use the Band-Aid metaphor to kind of talk about this, and like it's less than a Band-Aid, right? And the other problem is that there's so many different wounds caused by this, that it's just like the fact that we are having such a hard time figuring out how to use such a sizable chunk of money properly, I think just speaks to how complicated this Housatonic Waterworks problem is. And with that in mind, I think having flexibility is key to this. You know, I know what you're saying about keeping it simple and focused, and I want to make sure that we're not putting too much pressure on town staff to be able. Actually, I want to make it easy for staff, and I want to make it easy for customers to actually be able to apply for this and get their money. But I really do think that the flexibility of letting people say how they want to use the funds to address the way they've been affected is really important to this. So that's
So I guess my question to that would be, so where's it stopped as a 3-family house, everybody in that house bring in the receipts? Is it per one hookup? I guess that's where I wonder where it gets confused, you know, you have a lot of duplexes in Housatonics or multi-families, are we bringing, you know, bottled water to everywhere, all those receipts for laundry? I think it just, you know, it can spin out pretty quick, and I'm not denying that everybody needs help, just wondering about time and, the organizing of it and where it stops or. All that.
Yeah, I think initially with the water filters, it was thought per house.
Right.
And when we started talking, it does, not necessarily the three of us, but when the five of us started talking, that's where it got expanded to 830 units per household.
Mhm.
So if it's a duplex, assuming there's two households, they would each qualify for $300 under this recommendation. And this recommendation is not really, recommendation is kind of wrong, just to be clear, it's what we talked about. So the staff came back and said, okay, let's put it on paper.
Mhm.
So it's, previously, the number was less because we were talking about house, now we're talking about household.
Mhm.
So to your question, we're talking about water reimbursement, it would be per household, so there's 200 duplex, they would each side would get $300.
And that's if each duplex has its own meter, that's how we're counting that.
I don't think we've ever decided that, our choice.
I guess I'm just wondering, I'm wondering if that like.
I don't think that really would matter.
The customer number that we have, or
We
is it-
can identify households through our
Yeah.
town census.
Yeah.
Or we could ask for, well, I guess the water bill is probably paid for by the property owner, so.
Yeah.
We can identify households, that's why in this revised version, we increased the number of, we decreased the dollar amount and increased the number of households.
Yeah.
Trying to get out ahead of that.
Yeah, and I think the language that you have, you know, in that paragraph, after 6 months, we can I think it's like, this is a good place to start, you know, because like, who knows, like, I'm not personally planning on filing for this reimbursement, even though I could, just because I personally don't think I need to.
Yeah.
So it's like, I would like to start something to kind of almost get a sense of what the engagement with this program is going to be and see if we can kind of then, we still have the funds to kind of figure something out afterwards, but to kind of see where we're at to start, you know.
And just so you understand, there's only three of us here tonight, people can see that. If we were gonna vote on this tonight, it would have to be three of us agreeing on something.
Yeah.
According to our policy. My assumption is that we would end up waiting till Lee and Garfield were here and we would vote at the next meeting. So I'm not putting a lot of pressure on tonight, but I think, again, I think we're gonna split in an amicable fashion because this is uncharted territory and there is no right answer. I'll tell you the right answer after we do it. But that's not helping us at all. So I'm not real worried about tonight.
Yeah.
But I think it's good that we air how we feel. And I'm kind of stuck between the two of you. I want to do what's best for the residents of Housatonic. And I can see both sides. And I've said, if there's a logical argument, I'll support it. If it makes sense. And both arguments to me are logical. And although I don't believe anyone represents Housatonic, that we all do, I know you two live this every day or part of it. So I'm listening to you and I hear two different opinions, but they both make sense. Yeah. But go ahead. Just your name and address, please.
Jacobs,
Yeah.
260 Park Street, Great Barrington, Housatonic, and I saw this executive summary today, and I said, yippee, the select board has made a decision. And we can say that in the press, the select board has decided, but if I can be sort of a tiebreaker here, I did plan to put a whole house filter in my house last week, and they came and they said, can't turn off the water from the inside, gotta turn it off from the street. You need a plumber, you need an excavator. So this $1,000 filter that I was planning to put in was starting to look like a blank check. Including excavation and repair of an infrastructure that's not broken. It just needs to be turned off, and it might break if we turn the nozzle. So I think that if this, as I read it, is a grant to each ratepayer, who pays Housatonic Water Works for water and is stressed by the financial burden of supplementing their water, I think the grant, that is proposed in this, executive statement or summary makes a lot of sense to me. I can't put a filter in, I'm gonna have to continue to bring in those 5-gallon jugs and put them up on the dispenser. But people like, there are a lot of people living in old houses like mine in Housatonic, and the house just won't support the new technology of filtration. That's it.
Thanks, man.
Can I make a comment, please?
There's someone online, just go up there and I'll get you next. I kind of try to go every other person.
Great.
Deborah Herman?
Deborah Herman, 373 North Plain. I just want to emphasize that the water problems in Housatonic are partly manganese, which does discolor the water, but also HAA5, which they just have been cited for exceeding the recommended levels again. And that's an invisible pollutant. And I'm really dismayed to hear people talking about some people having problems, other people not having problems. Everyone has HAA5 if they get water from Housatonic Waterworks. It is a cancer-causing agent if it's used for long-term. And it's not really safe to bathe in it because it vaporizes at hot temperatures. It's not really safe to wash your dishes with it. This is especially concerning for vulnerable people like children and probably others as well. So again, I just want to say, why not just divvy up the money? Everyone needs help. Everyone has the problem. Forget about receipts. Let's get this money out to everyone. And then let's get to the real problem, which is figuring out how to end this problem permanently and how to really fix the water system for people in Housatonic. Thank you.
Thanks, Deb. Go ahead, name and address, please.
Yes, my name is Kevin Regan, I live in Housatonic. I got a couple questions. Mark, you said that the $500 aid you originally proposed came from a $250,000 state economic growth and relief fund. And if you look on the website for Town of Great Barrington and you click on the Housatonic Waterworks Information and Resources section, you'll see from January 24th, 2001 until August 4th, 2023, there's at least 10 major topics and violations, non-conformities and non-adherence to any regulations that Housatonic Waterworks has refused to do or was unable to do. I think this grant money and the subsidy would be is a kind gesture, but I don't think because that grant was paid for by taxpayers, that taxpayers should pay for all this damages done to them through that grant that is caused by Housatonic Waterworks. If we need some emergency money, so people can get filtered and some little bit remediation, then that should be supplied. But I think Housatonic Waterworks should be obligated to repay that to this fund instead of taxpayers paying that when it is not caused by taxpayers, it's caused by Housatonic Waterworks.
So I'll answer that, not more. First of all, Housatonic Waterworks has no desire to do that. We've written them a letter and asked them, they never responded.
It doesn't negate the fact that taxpayers have to pay.
And the second of all, this is state tax money, still tax money, but this came from the state budget. So this is what we requested, and this is what the indication for these funds were, would help the ratepayers in Housatonic to at least get some money back that they've been spending all these years.
And I think Housatonic Waterworks should pay back that grant because it's his problem, it's not taxpayers' problem.
We unfortunately don't have the authority to force them to do that.
Well, that's what my opinion is. I
I don't disagree with
think
you
we should
saying
be off the hook because there's money from state or federal funding for this.
I don't disagree with you.
Okay,
Yes,
thanks.
thank you.
One other question, when the meeting's coming up for the water, Housatonic water meeting coming up, I have tons of questions. I think that'll probably be addressed during that would be the best.
That is the authority who handles that. It's the DPU.
Are you referring to the informational meeting this week or the public hearing for the rate case?
Either both.
But this week, this week's meeting is run by Housatonic Waterworks. And
Okay,
I've been to a few of those, and usually that's their meeting. They don't take questions. I don't know if that'll change. The other one, which is in a few weeks, is a public hearing by the state, by DPU, correct? I always get this, by the DPU. And they will allow everyone who wants to speak there.
And that's specific of your rate raise proposal.
Right, but I don't know if they'll answer any questions,
Okay.
but they will allow you to make a comment.
One other question I had, when I saw the Zoom from the last meeting with the appraisal service. I guess, when that comes up, when it is decided if the town does buy the water company. How is the final value with that assessed? Is there gonna be committees on that, or is it gonna be town hearing before anybody writes a check to Housatonic Water?
If and when that comes up, it'll have to be approved at a town meeting.
Okay, great. I think that's it. Thanks, guys.
Yep.
Appreciate the help.
Okay, let's move ahead. We'll continue that to September 11th, which, as I can see, it's gonna be to midnight, because we've continued everything to then, but that's the way it goes. So the next one is a presentation of the town hall campus renovation plans. And like the Mason Library mural projects, I'll say it now, and I'll probably say it again. Both of these, this is the first public presentation for the select board. We're not voting on either of these tonight. For the town hall campus project, that still has to go to the historic district commission and then come to us. Parks members are here and maybe online this is not a town park, but it's adjacent to a town park.
There's a town park involved within the campus.
Right, within the campus, correct. And then for the Mason Library mural project, not to confuse things, that is also got to go through the historic district commission, and library trustees will give us a recommendation. So historic district commission has to approve, trustees recommend, as we do many times on permits. So there's no vote on this tonight. There was never planned to be a vote, but we really want to put this out for people to see what is planned here. And both of these projects, well, let me talk about the town hall campus project. That money's already been allocated at town meetings. So we're not talking about going to a town meeting and allocating money. The money is there waiting for us to do it, and we're ready to go out to bid as soon as the select board and the historic district commission approves it. So let's, Mark, you go ahead.
Sure, so I'm gonna just provide a little bit of background on this project, and then I'm going to turn it over to Steve and Joe and jump into my office so I can share my screen for folks participating at home. Can't do that from my iPad here, so. A little background on this project. Discussions about renovating the town hall campus date back to the 2010-2011 timeframe during the redesign of our Main Street project that we all, I'm sure, remember quite well. So at that time, some of the entrance and exit issues were flagged in this corner here where Castle Street meets Main Street, and the town hall entrance is a prime example of that. So since that time, since 2010-2011, the front entrance, the step project was completed, and we've appropriated roughly $700,000 in funding at town meetings, $100,000 of which is specifically set aside for a public restroom on the town hall campus. Tonight's design is just a first look again, just to reiterate, and it's important to note that some of the goals that our engineers and staff were trying to accomplish before we dive into it here. So I'm just gonna go through a really brief list, just so everyone knows how many things we were trying to accomplish here in this design. First on the list is improved intersection safety, which I just mentioned, Castle and Main, and the entrance to Town Hall. Improved pedestrian and handicap accessibility, campus-wide. Convenient two-way traffic to the rear lot behind Town Hall, and the entrance and exit, the entry and exit via the signal intersection. So we're trying to get traffic back out to the signaled intersection rather than using the exit here on to Main Street, which is very challenging. We have a net gain in parking spaces noted in this plan. You'll hear more about that soon, and that includes 4 new parking spots along here on Castle Street. Accessible paths to all of the various memorials and monuments on the campus, improved lighting campus-wide, a level front plaza for gathering, which you'll hear more about again in a minute, and a level green space for community events in the back, at Town Hall in the park area, which you'll hear more about again as well. An accessible path to the park and the playground. Bike racks and EV charging stations. We've been talking about EV charging stations townwide for a while now, so we'd be adding to our stock of charging stations. A more gentle slope. Anyone who's ever driven out of the back of Town Hall campus here will appreciate a more gentle slope from campus onto Castle Street when exiting this rear lot. Plenty of space for new tree plantings. And as mentioned earlier, a 4-season public restroom with plumbing and electricity to replace the seasonal portalets that are dropped outside of Town Hall every summer. So I'm gonna jump to my desk and put the Town Hall plans up on the screen for everyone, which is participating remotely. You guys are good to go.
Let's just introduce yourself, so you know who you are. Sure. Call it home.
Steve Mack from Foresight Answers. And I'll just say that Mark just stole half of my presentation. But I will reiterate those.
One Mark just put it up so the people at home can actually see. One of the problems we have is that with Zoom, we don't have a camera pointed that way. So if Mark puts it up, then people at home can actually know what we're talking about. Sure.
Should I wait till that's it?
Yeah. There we go.
Okay, so like Mark said, we've started with a series of goals, which he's reiterated quite well, point by point, which I had. And I think I'll start by just addressing how we are working on those aspects of the project and goals. And the first one, which is improved access to the Town Hall campus, improved parking, and vehicular safety. And as Mark said, one goal is to get rid of the curb cut right at the intersection, which was flagged as a point of conflict. It's too close to the intersection. So this plan removes that access way from the intersection. It also removes that parking right there, which is pretty steep slope. And it accomplishes another goal by moving the vehicular traffic away from the immediacy of the steps, so you don't come out of the Town Hall right into the driveway, which gets a little bit cumbersome. The other part that we're proposing, which Mark touched on, is improving the Castle Street curb cut, which everybody knows, as you said, you come down and you can bottom out a smaller car. So essentially, we're just grading this slope back a little bit further than it is now to take that steepness out. It's not going to be perfect, but it'll be a significant improvement. The geometry is just too tight to use every possibility there. And then reconfiguring the parking so that it's double loaded, which means there's parking on both sides of the access road, which is sort of the most efficient way to do parking rather than having it. Right now, it's sort of, as everyone knows, just along one side, and you have the long, wide driveway. So we have double loaded parking along each side. We do have 4 new parking spaces, parallel parking spaces on Castle Street proposed. The total parking count in this plan that you're looking at is 43 spaces. The current Town Hall is 41. So, and that includes eliminating these spaces. So it is a net gain parking. There was a brief conversation last week, I think, about changing the head-in parking. We have 7 spaces here along the south side of Town Hall, changing that to parallel parking and adding a walkway, which is this inset here. So we would lose 4 spaces if we do that. But it's an option that we're talking about, and just for consideration when we talk more about it here. So we will have a drop-off space here for Town Hall, and then that would move into this new level terrace area, which is a more appropriate sort of entrance and exit to Town Hall, big gathering space. You come out of a meeting, you want to talk to somebody out after the meeting, which happens quite frequently, you can sort of congregate out here rather than being in the driveway, and that type of thing. And then amazingly enough, There is no handicap access from Main Street to the town hall. There's nothing that conforms to ADA, which is wild, but, so this path right here is designed as a maximum of a 5% grade. That's the shortest path to get there. It will come down to the Main Street sidewalk, and that's the grade that's required to not have any handrails or landings or anything, so it's a accessible path. We'll also have a connection to a new sort of pocket park at the corner where the curb cut is. There's a monument here that will also have steps up to the pathway. We can't do a walkway there because it's so steep right there. New sidewalks from the west side of the town hall around to the front, which will be ADA accessible. As you noted, we are proposing to do electric vehicle charging in this bay to the northwest of town hall here. Let's see, the next item that we are proposing is in the rear of town hall, which is a new level event pad, which could function as having tents and whatnot. As shown on this plan, it's 45 by 80. That would require moving the gazebo up to the corner here and then regrading this site. There's been some discussion about sun impacts, you know, if you're looking west during the afternoon rather as opposed to east. We're currently talking about ways to mitigate that. There are some mature trees back here. If we can supplement that or add, fence and fast growing evergreens, we're sort of working on that aspect right now. So literally in conversation now. This pad will have handicap accessible path up to this, the tent pad and also the gazebo as well, accessible through here. The other thing is the bathroom facility, which is proposed right now to be located right here. Convenient access to the sewer manhole, water coming from town hall, electric. Proposed bike racks, we have 2 locations proposed, one at the back of the facility, the town hall. And then new lighting, we're proposing new pole lights for the parking lot and bollard lights for the pathways. And we were modeling it after the town hall lighting system. We had it all designed, but the town just approved a new lighting bylaw, so we're updating it to that. That's not done yet. Trying to fit a similar look to the new lighting bylaw. So, and then we're working with the town's landscaping people to develop a landscaping plan. So we don't have that yet. We're sort of waiting to get the geometry laid out and then do the landscaping. But so that's where we're at with this project. Obviously, they didn't input, they not have answers to every question, but yeah.
Yeah, can you talk in detail, because I've got a lot of questions. I actually talked with Joe earlier today about it, but can you speak to the grading of the area back by the gazebo? Because I know I was fielding a lot of questions about it, and like I said, Joe walked me through it earlier today, but I think it would be helpful for everybody to understand that.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah, the current concept is to raise the grade along the parking. So that would be 2.5 feet high when we fire railing, just below the requirements to have a railing. And then level this off, cut, so it's a 2% slope to the back here. So when this would have a grade of slope back up, so this would be a running pad.
So basically, just for people that are at home, you're talking from the parking lot, you're gonna put a stone wall there, and then it'll be a level grade all the way past the gazebo, you would say, yeah.
So, and then here, because we have to match the existing grade here, there'll be a slight hill, 3.5 to 4 feet. And so along the park here and this here, it'll kind of still have that amphitheater effect where you can sit there and look into the gazebo still. We do have a bench back there as a monument, that will never be built like that. But we have people sitting back there occasionally.
Yeah.
So this will allow us to clear it up a little bit.
Yep.
I also wanna, run a couple ideas by Steve, as we have that kind of hill effect where people can sit and enjoy it on the grass. Like, well, maybe we make some area where it has like a concrete here, there's still for people to sit there and look at it.
Good.
Anyone else?
Yeah.
Ben?
And so just some understanding, your answer to Eric's question, for audiences watching the gazebo, we're gonna be leveling it, so they won't be below the gazebo.
We'll be sloping very gradually from here down to the parking lot,
Was that the 2% slope you're saying?
which is essentially flat, just
Right.
enough to run water.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things, like,
Yeah.
for events, but you kind of watch this playground out back, and then the common area is used all day long by people.
Mhm.
They're kicking a soccer ball and throwing a frisbee. They're always rolling up this way and under the cars into the roadway.
Yeah.
So that will help a lot of that.
Yeah, that's great. I had a question, just as we're going through this, one thing that I've noticed, especially with the Saturday morning performances at the gazebo, is the lack of shade close to the actual gazebo. So often for families with young children have to sit back, on the edge of the park, by the rock, to just not get overheated with their children. So this feels like an opportunity to maybe, if we could provide some shade closer to the gazebo, I think that'd be a real benefit for that programming. And I'm also curious, so the accessibility path, is there going to be any way, if someone is on that path and wants to actually enter Giggle Park, will it?
This here,
Yeah,
there's the gate for the park is right here, and this is designed so that it is an accessory.
so they can access from the, okay, great. And then I had just a question for the brick courtyard in the front. Is there any seating there, benches or anything in the design?
We do have some conceptual ideas for seating. Certainly we talk about.
Okay.
Anyone else? Thank you very much. Thank you. This is a really good beginning of your project, and I'm sure we'll have it by the end of September back for another look. Yeah, next round, and go through the historic district commission.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
that's great. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mason Library mural project proposal.
Go ahead and promote a few individuals.
While you're doing that, we have not mentioned yet tonight. But the plan is, and it's not on our calendar yet, so this is that August 29th, which is next Tuesday, 6 o'clock, we will have a public input session on the real estate transfer fee. So that'll be next Tuesday at 6 o'clock, the 29th, and we'll make sure that gets more publicity than it has today's. We have a week, so we'll get it out there.
I'm gonna run to my office and take that down before we jump into the next.
That's fine.
I think that's a great question.
Yeah.
Is there any input as far as what was just presented?
They left. You can go ahead and talk. I'll go right ahead.
Sorry,
Maybe I can, do you want me to catch them? See if they're,
no, I just.
okay,
It's not really questions about them,
okay,
comments.
yeah,
Um,
go ahead. Just introduce yourself.
Yeah, Lee Rogers, 31 Prospect Street, Great Barrington. I work with the town, as you probably know, to organize those said concerts at the gazebo. I have a few questions about this. First of all, I'm generally in favor of most of the plan for certainly the parking is an issue around the town hall. The town park part of it. Obviously, there's a need to improve coming in and out of the town hall area. My question is the impact on the town hall park itself and the gazebo having to be moved. I realize that the proposed plan I'm assuming it's just a proposal. And the ultimate final plan would need to be voted on and approved, is that correct?
By the select board, we're hoping within the next 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay. The concern that I have is that we have a great variety of people that use the park. The need for parking, I think, is certainly there. It seems that the plan, especially towards the backside of the town hall here, is pushing asphalt in the parking area way close to the existing gazebo. And the need to move the gazebo is based on flattening that area. I'm wondering where that actually came from. I know they've talked about community events on, as you probably know, I worked actually at been the coordinator for the gazebo concerts for the last 10 years. And we do get funding from the town of Great Barrington. So we, the need for a level area. I have not heard from concert goers or that kind of thing. I would, I guess I would just stress the possible importance of trying to preserve the gazebo in the location that it is as much as possible. Be it to maybe amend the parking slightly close to the gazebo so that it doesn't push right up against the existing. And the Parks Department and such, the town has done a great job improving the look and the plantings around the gazebo. I think it's possibly, I'm not sure what the history of the gazebo is, but it is to me it's somewhat of a historical structure. To me, moving it, to the other side of the park seems fairly drastic. Also, the retaining wall seems to be actually a physical barrier that will make it somewhat more difficult for people to access the park. And that now there's a 2-foot section which runs a great deal of the way into the park area. The parking itself is actually reducing the green space of the park itself. So there's less green space, if you will. And I know there was concern about children kicking a soccer ball and whatnot. I mean, I appreciate that this is a town park and people can use it for whatever it is. It's not set up to be a sports field, certainly, but we want to have people safe, certainly. But I guess my main question is that the leveling of the area in which we need to move the gazebo, how is that brought upon?
So we, a while back, that was a fairly level area and the town made it unlevel with some of the work they did there. We're just trying to restore it. I actually think that I was concerned about moving this gazebo until realized there's a whole dead area. You know better than I. You spent the whole summer down there. I don't. That I think it's going to give us, and the architects can, and Joe can tell me, I think you're actually getting more space than, not less space for the gazebo. Joe, do you want to just comment on that? Tell me if I'm wrong, if I am.
No, if you stand in the gazebo right now and you look out the entry where you would be playing to an audience or something like that, it's kind of like looking right at the park area. Right. You know where it is now, the face of the gazebo's here, so this is kind of your audience area. Where when we put it back here and tuck it back here, and we're not tucking it away because it is beautiful. The plants are terrific there, but we're creating this, and I think Steve, you picked it up on one of the plans when we were just going around with. You're facing in this area, so you're gathering a greater audience area. So, and then I have had a couple of complaints about people out there when you're in a chair, you're sitting like this and, on uneven ground and try to level it up a little bit, things like that.
We're not trying to hide, and I understand your concern, we're not trying to hide the gazebo, it's
Absolutely.
actually gonna be a centerpiece of this.
I understand that, I just,
Would they keep
I
it-
question,
This ends up kind of a dead space back here, and we're trying to utilize it a little bit more. And by regrading it, the bank into, the tunnel comes down a little bit, it opens that up. So people coming in the tunnel can come right up in.
could I ask you, is the gazebo structurally sound? I know you put new electrical in it, which is great.
Yeah.
And, it's really helpful, so.
I think it's
certainly
very, I
thank
think
you
it's
for
very
everything.
movable, I think it is, we could jack it up and put a couple beams under it and grab it to easy.
So we're actually not talking new construction, we're talking
Right.
moving the actual structure,
Correct. And
to just a different
and
location.
rotate, so,
Rotating.
so it faces more of the venue of the flat area.
Right.
And then you have your amphitheater type of effect here, so people seating the, where you would actually have more of an audience. If you know right now, the flowers and stuff and plants that are out there, they're getting so tall, it's kind of cutting off everything except the entrance.
Right.
So the plan is, as good as it looks this year out there, the plan would be to put plantings and maybe that complement Main Street. What we did on Main Street here, the similar species or stuff like that, keep them lower on both sides here and a little bit higher in the back to provide a little bit of a background. And we would probably do that with the same landscape designer that we did Main Street with.
Okay, thank you. And again, I'm all for the handicap accessibility, I think the path is a great idea. I just,
I appreciate your input on one of them here. We put the 2 to 2.5 foot wall here.
right,
It kind of forces the entrance to be over here. Well, maybe that's something we can look at.
yeah, we can put some
somewhere. Yeah, a couple sets of stairs or something until we have more than just one entrance to it.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
right, I just wanted to voice my concerns, I think, for the most part, the overall plan is great.
That's what we're here for, is to listen before we make
I just,
final decision.
was a little surprised that, the actual structure was being moved and quite so far. To me, I mean, to be honest with you, I think, people are, that have come to the concerts are a little bit used to the, slightly uneven surface. Do I see it as a hazard to anyone? I certainly don't see that. That it's a little bit uneven, in that regard. I see it's, it's not a detriment certainly to concert goers. I just kind of question the not only the aesthetics, but also the cost involved in moving the actual structure. And also the possible, retaining it in its existing location, as a possibility. So, certainly, that's not up to me. It's not my decision. I just wanted to.
Well, we want to hear from you. You do a lot for this.
And certainly, like I say, the other parts of it, the all-season restaurant is a great idea. The parking, as you know, can be an issue. I guess I was just concerned with having, like I say, less green space. Park.
Yeah, I don't think there is less green space.
Well, there is.
There's slightly less, and
Right,
the reasoning behind that is we're gonna spend the time and effort in design, so there's kind of one-way traffic through.
right. So is the traffic actually entering in from
Right.
Main Street?
Right, and
And then
then
exiting out?
it exits it out, but I think entrance is also allowed here.
Right.
Okay, in one way, only one way this way beyond this point.
Right,
But built into this design, I think, early on, we said, as the town grows and the traffic increases, if we ever need to make this two-way traffic, it's wide enough to do it.
right.
And that's.
No, I don't
That's the
disagree
first,
with you with the parking and, it just, to me, I actually measured roughly the distance between the existing parking and the gazebo structure of the building itself, and it seems to be about 25 feet. So, it looks like from here, you're pushing the wall and the pavement 20 feet or so, out from where it's existing. So it seems, obviously, it looks like it's right up against the actual gazebo, which wouldn't really work with the gazebo where it is.
Right.
My thought was that it could possibly just be amended and or slightly just in a couple of spaces there and to keep the rest of the parking intact the way it is. As it is now, as you know, people park facing the town park. And then they don't have a lot of room, obviously, to back out, so I'm not saying that, but, you know, there's certainly a need for better parking.
Yeah, I'm not an expert, but having looked at this plan a number of times, I actually kind of thought it was exciting where the gazebo was, that it was gonna be more of a centerpiece. And there'd be more area to sit, and, I think it's actually gonna be nicer.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I respect everyone else's opinion, I don't question that, I was just a little surprised, I guess, at the fact that it's being moved at all, and also, you know, the flatness of it, I think, is a great idea, I just was wondering where that came from, and it was mentioned that it was community, for community events.
Which, when we started this plan in 2010, it was level, somewhat level.
Right.
And then it's become, less level as we've done some work back there.
Right, I mean, I know there's community events like, you know, Fairview had their gala there, and they've since relocated it to an off-site location,
But you know that that's not the reason for this whole thing, that this started in 2010 before that was necessary.
right, no, I'm just saying that, you know, the town of Great Barrington, as you know, puts money towards the concerts, which obviously I greatly appreciate. And to me, that's a community event, and to me, that's kind of one of the centerpieces of the use of the town park.
I agree.
So, I appreciate your time.
Thanks, Lynn. Karen and then Don.
Hi, Karen Smith, Chair of the Park and Rec. First of all, Park and Rec is, a lot of us have looked at this. Terry's here. I don't know if he's got anything to say. I'm very much in favor of the whole situation as it's been presented. I think the other thing that's very important is the level is also very important when we're trying to do stuff with Fairview and the Mahawi, is the tents that they need in order to accommodate all the human beings. They could not put them up in the way the park is now. By creating that level area, because what happened is that it ended up pushing them over to Memorial Field. And when everything ended up at Memorial Field, there was a whole argument about alcohol. And one of the things we don't want in Memorial Field is alcohol being served on the field. So by having everything here in this one area in town that's level, that can make sure that everything is be able to be covered by a tent, that's part of why this has all been done. And it's eroded over 13 years. It used to be flat and now it's not. And I truly believe, I've gone out and stood there and watched this new orientation of the gazebo. It opens the whole space up, so everybody in the place could see it. So I think it's really important from that perspective, and I applaud the plans. I think they look good, and I'm more thrilled than anybody in the whole world, especially now that I'm over 70, that there's gonna be a public bath. I'm very happy about that.
Don, go ahead.
Real quick, Don Howe, Chair of the Historic District Commission. Historical fact, the original bandstand location was in front of Town Hall at the corner of Main and Castle. I think in the 1920s, they put the new driveway in, and at that time it was moved to the present area. And so this is going to be the third location to the bandstand.
Wow,
Isn't that interesting?
I love that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm being interested.
Yeah, go ahead, Terry.
One quick thing, Terry Chamberlain, 3 Magnolia Street, Great Barrington. I came here as a person that patronizes the gazebo concerts. My biggest concern was moving it up in that corner. You go now, the sun is at your back, up in that corner. The sun will you'll be facing west, but one of the first things that he did mention was the trees and stuff that they're gonna, the plantings, which I think is a great idea, and hopefully it does materialize.
Thank you, Terry.
Thanks.
Okay, let's move ahead. Let's do that good first step. Mason Library. mural project proposal.
We'll go ahead and promote John, Gwendolyn, and Brett.
I got Brett. Got everyone else?
Everyone's there.
Okay, go ahead, Ron.
Okay, so the three of us are going to do this together. And I was going to get us started, and if it's okay. And I think Britt probably also has slides. So Mark, would it be possible to for me to share my screen?
Go ahead and try it if you can't.
You may have to make them call.
That work?
Thanks, man. No problem.
Okay, so can you guys see that?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. So I'm John Horn from 2 Brainerd Avenue, and I'm just going to couple introductory slides and then turn over to Gwendolyn, who will speak to the importance of the project. And then I think, as most people know, Gwendolyn is the executive director of Multicultural Bridge, and then Britt Rue is the executive director of Commonwealth Murals, and we've been working with her and with her organization to develop this proposal for a mural. So yeah, John Horn, 2 Brainerd Avenue in Great Barrington. I am a volunteer in this project and really do mostly coordination and legwork. This is part of a kind of a bigger collaborative project that main focus is remembering local victims of slavery, as well as celebrating Elizabeth Freeman and her 1781 freedom suit, which took place the courthouse in Great Barrington, which is roughly where the town hall is now. And if I did my math correctly, tomorrow would be the 232nd anniversary of the verdict. The collaboration encompasses the Du Bois Freedom Center, Multicultural Bridge, Berkshire NAACP, and University of Massachusetts Amherst. And each of these entities is leading a different part of the overall project. Bridge is leading the effort to create a mural. Other components that we've already come forward with over a year ago is one is an interpretive display, and that is conceptually mostly done and I think would have been ready to go by this summer, but we put it on hold because the plan is to put it on the town hall campus. And so we're waiting for that to be done. And that is being led by the Freedom Center and is closely involved the history department at UMass Amherst. And then co-naming of the segment of Castle Street adjacent to Town Hall, Elizabeth Freeman Way. And so I think we actually have a street sign. It's just we're waiting to put that up. So, and then the next. So just quickly, this is the wall that we would like, that we're proposing to place the mural on. And so this is on the Church Street side, and I'm not sure if non-historic section is the appropriate term, but it's on the kind of more recent addition. So we thought this would be an ideal site for the mural. We're starting here, but from here, we plan to also propose this to the Board of GB Libraries Board of Trustees, as well as the Historical Commission. And we'd circle back circle back to you all after we have secured a mural list, developed plans for the mural, and come back to try to get the final approval. So I will stop sharing. Turn it over to Gwendolyn.
All right. Hi, everyone. I prepared something to read. I was asked to speak about why this is important. Normally I'm talking to you about Du Bois, but as John said, I'm here on behalf of Multicultural Bridge, and us are wanting to lead this effort with the mural. And also we're working on the second essay contest with Elizabeth Freeman, so there's some connectivity there. But I'm going to share a little bit about Elizabeth Freeman, whose history is significant to the towns of Sheffield, where she worked as a slave, our town, Great Barrington, where she gained her freedom, and Stockbridge, where she was a homeowner and lived as a community member and healer. Her story is largely untold and little known, and I love to take opportunity to share the story about our Berkshire heroine and pioneer, Elizabeth Freeman. As I said, Elizabeth Monbet Freeman was enslaved in Sheffield to Colonel Ashley, a judge, and his wife. After suffering abuse, along with her sister, Monbet pursued her freedom. It is reported that she had been working while she overheard Colonel Ashley talking about the Massachusetts Constitution of 1780, particularly where it stated, mankind in a state of nature are equal, free, and independent of each other, and have a right to the undisturbed enjoyment of their lives, their liberty, and property. This is the same language that's used in the United States Declaration of Independence of 1776. So when she heard this and was suffering the abuse at Colonel Ashley's wife's hands, she pursued her freedom. And in August of 1781, she won the case in the County Court of Common Pleas right here in Great Barrington, in the case known as Brom and Bett versus Ashley. During this case, Theodore Sedgwick argued that the Massachusetts Constitution outlawed slavery. The jury agreed with Sedgwick and decided that Bett was not Colonel Ashley's property, but then there was an appeal. Even after the appeal, Elizabeth maintained her freedom 84 years before slavery was ended in this country. In my view, Elizabeth Freeman was wise, she was a healer, she was clearly a deep listener, and she was also an entrepreneur, land and property owner, and an activist in 1781. She held all of those roles and performed all of those functions as a Black woman here in the Berkshires in the 18th century. She took care of herself, she took care of community. And for me, she embodies economic freedom and voice, the strength of our ancestors, and primarily the resolve and ability and birthright of a Black woman to lead us to liberation. Alongside the Du Bois Statue Memorial that's under works, the library would be a great community place to experience the story of this historical figure of a woman, again, supporting Great Barrington and laying claim to being on the right side of history in our civil rights journey in some of the earliest years. I am proud to tell the story of Dr. Du Bois and Elizabeth Freeman and her journey to freedom and how it relates to Great Barrington. We all know her infamous quote, "If 1 minute's freedom had been offered to me and I had been told I must die at the end of that minute, I would have taken it. Just to stand 1 minute on God's earth a free woman, I would." I'm so proud that she fought for and earned her freedom alongside Brom, another enslaved African-American in my hometown of Great Barrington. And she enjoyed her God-given right to freedom for her remaining 48 years. I would like to ask the Select Board and all of the town to support us in celebrating her story as it's intertwined with Great Barrington. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. My name is Britt Rue. I'm the Director of Commonwealth Murals. We're a professional mural management program based out of Springfield. And I do have a few slides I can show you about the process that we're proposing for this mural, but also when I have presented to select boards or city officials in the past, especially if they've had a minute to look over our materials, they often have very specific questions related to the mural installation process. And I don't want to take up more time than we have. So I guess I will start by asking, well, I will first say we have managed the installation of over 50 murals, most in Massachusetts. And about half of them have been done using the process that we're proposing for Great Barrington. The process that we're proposing is an indirect mural technique that was developed by Mural Arts in Philadelphia. If you've been to Philadelphia, you know they have hundreds of murals, many of them also done in this technique. So instead of painting the mural directly on the wall, we engage community in conversation about the overarching mural theme, which is determined by the project organizers, but then we get community input about what does this theme mean to you here in this community now. And then we work with professional mural artists who takes all that input and designs the visual. So the community doesn't design the visual of the mural. We leave that to the muralist because they spend all of their time thinking about how to depict complex and nuanced ideas visually. So the muralist creates the design, which is approved by the organizing committee. And then we take that design and turn it into an outline, project that outline onto the special mural fabric, and create a giant paint by numbers, and bring those sheets of mural fabric out into the community for community paint parties. Hundreds of people can participate in these paint parties. They are very easy. You do not have to be an artist. You can be any age. I am not an artist myself. The first time I was at a paint party, I mixed up 13 and 31 and painted the wrong color everywhere. And now I run them and train other people on how to do it. So it's just a beautiful opportunity for many people to come together to have an actual physical hand in beautifying a space and contributing to the idea and the concepts behind the mural. And then the mural is installed permanently on the wall in a process similar to putting up wallpaper. But it is permanent. Murals this way tend to last longer and weather better than murals painted directly on the wall, just because of the materials that we use. So that's kind of the overview of the process. And I am here to answer any questions you might have.
Do you want to share a couple slides to just show us the process? That probably would be helpful.
Yes. And there is in the material that was shared with all of the select board for this meeting is our proposal, and there is a link to a 2-minute video that shows all of this, which I would recommend you watching. But I can quickly show you a couple, or if you have 2 minutes, we could watch the movie. So this is a picture of a paint party that we held in downtown Springfield. As you can see, all ages are participating. And it really is just painting in these big numbers. The artist will usually, this is another picture of a studio. The artist will usually paint the portrait pieces themselves, and the community works on background. So this picture of artists painting the portraits for a mural. And here's an image of them putting the fabric up. So you can see when the fabric first goes up, you can tell that they're in these squares. So after it's glued up, the artists then spend time painting directly on the wall to kind of make all of those seams disappear. There is also a step after the community paint party where the artists take the panels back to their studio and do all kind of the overpainting and detail work, because they can look pretty messy by the time the community is done. But that's not what we put up on the wall. We put up work that's very finished. So this is an image where they're doing that overpainting on the wall. So everything you see here was painted on those panels. This mural is a block long. It's about 5,000 square feet, and 700 people helped to paint it. That's what this building looked like before, and that's what it looks like now. So once it's up, you can't tell that it wasn't painted directly on the wall, but people can go and say, little kids can point up and say, see that part that butterfly way up there? Like, I painted that. And they're able to see that in their contribution to the visual landscape of the community, for generations.
Good. Questions? Okay. I think you've been pretty clear.
Yeah.
That last slide.
Where was that? The question from the audience is, where was that last slide?
That's in downtown Springfield. It's right behind the Mass Mutual Center. If you've ever gone there for a hockey game or a concert, it's on Dwight Street.
So I don't hear any questions or concerns. Go ahead.
No, I just noticed I don't have any.
Okay, so Carol, go right ahead to state your name and address.
Yeah. Your mic's open, Carol.
Carol, just unmute yourself and you're all set. There you go.
Carol McGlinchey, 10 Beacon Hill, Library Board of Trustees. And where is this funds gonna come from for this project?
Not from the town. So we're applying for grant money, several different sources of funding. So our first goal is to raise enough for the design phase and early phases so that we can do that and bring it back. People can see what the mural will look like. But yeah, none of this will be town money.
Okay.
Thank you, Carol. So I hear no objections from the select board. And I think that right now it looks like a great project. And you'll have to go through the library trustees for a recommendation, as I said at the beginning, the historic district commission or their approval and then back to us. But right now, there's no roadblocks from the select board. I'm not hearing anything.
Is there a specific order we should go to the library, the trustees first and then to the historic commission, or does it matter?
I don't think it really matters. No. No,
I have,
not at all.
sorry, I have a quick question. Is there any historic or other zoning restrictions on the exterior of the building?
No, nothing, no.
Yeah. The base of the library, yeah.
Okay, hold on. Don House here is the chairman of the Historic District Commission. He's gonna correct me, which is okay.
Okay. The Mason Library is in the Downtown Historic District Commission. It's also on the National Register of Historic Properties. It's listed by the state of Massachusetts.
Right.
So it's a double. Not every building has that double whammy, but it is registered as a national register with property too. So we have both those things.
Thank you, Don. Okay.
That's the question. That doesn't necessarily preclude, and we were in kind of a preliminary conversation suggested told that by using the back of the building, which would work better for the mural anyway, obviously. But since that segment is, I don't know when that was added on, but it itself is not. I guess it may be historic.
Yeah.
Does it make it?
Let me ask Don this question. Does it matter if they did this on the historic part of the building or the newer part of the building?
We had a similar question dealing with the entry steps at our last meeting. The building as it is now is historic. That is a historic building with the new addition.
Thank you, Don.
It's a total, it's not one little part of it's not the original building. The whole building is now historic.
Perfect, thank you. That's why we asked. Okay, Jennifer Clark. Go right ahead.
Hi, everyone. I came into this discussion very late. You may have already gone through what the time frame is. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, I just want you to state your name and address for the record.
Jennifer Clark, Oak Street.
Yeah, go right ahead.
I'm also speaking on behalf of the Design Advisory Committee, which I'm chair of now. We are interested in gaining a little more foothold, if not just toehold, on some of the good things that are going on in Great Barrington, but being able to see them in advance, the same way the Historic Commission is going to be able to on this one as well. So soon we are going to ask for more responsibility. And of course that has to go through ATM. So I'm wondering, probably, but we're going to be addressing this to Mark and Chris initially. What is the time frame for your starting to propose visuals on this?
Well, we need some money first. I think we're our first order of business is to get grant funding, hopefully this fall, and then we'd be working with Britt and Commonwealth Murals on the design, the preliminary phases. And Britt, you could speak to this better than I, but I think the mural itself has to be placed kind of in the warmer weather. Is that true? So that in order to do it we were hoping that we could have this, that could go up like summer of 2024, but that's all very preliminary now because we haven't even started the design work.
Mhm.
If I could add to that, there's a couple spots in moments in the process where it's really helpful to get stakeholder input that influences the design. One is the selection of the muralist, because even when you're getting community input in the design, the mural will have the look and feel of the artist's previous work. So we, if we're doing a call or we're kind of hand selecting a small pool of muralists for the kind of stakeholder group to review, and who's on that group is something that I think John and Gwendolyn would figure out. So picking the muralist is a really important part of the process and kind of influencing what the final look and feel of the mural is going to be. And then kind of thinking about the overarching questions that we want to use to guide community input also helps kind of determine content for the mural. And then the muralist will create a sketch for the kind of decision-making group to give input on. They will make modifications and then it will be approved.
Okay, let me go. Thanks, Jen.
May I ask one more?
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, go right ahead.
So the decision-making body in this case would be whom?
Final decision on this is the select board.
Okay. And the muralist selection would be just.
We would work on getting a committee together that is representative of the community.
Okay, great. Thanks, Gwen. All right.
Ed, go right ahead.
Thank you, Steve. It was up quickly, but this mural's at the back of the building in the children's garden. Is that correct?
Yes.
So as, first of all, I love it. I love the project. And as one of the two people who'll be able to see this, I thank you. But wouldn't it make more sense to do it on the side where it's more visible? I know it's a smaller canvas. Like on the Pleasant Street side, there's still a big swath of new building. Again, I'm not speaking as an abutter who doesn't want to look at it. I appreciate it. But it's me and Linda next door who will be enjoying it mostly. Just a suggestion. I will support enthusiastically whatever you do.
Okay, Carol, you've spoken once, but I'll briefly, if you like to ask another question or a comment.
Carol McGlinchey, Board of Library Trustees. I'm just curious why you are focusing on Great Barrington when Elizabeth Freeman spent most of her life in Stockbridge. There is the statue in Sheffield. Why haven't you started this project proposal with Stockbridge? And why Great Barrington rather than Stockbridge?
The real reason is because the thing that's made history happen in Great Barrington. She sued for her freedom and won it in the court of Great Barrington. So in my overall work, I was involved with Smitty on the statue. I think the essay contest started in Southern Berkshire. It's going to move to Berkshire Hills, where we involve the kids of the towns that feed into Berkshire Hills. And then this is the next project in Great Barrington, and we do intend to try to work on something in Stockbridge as well. So it's not sort of just a one-off, it's a part of a larger project of uplifting Elizabeth Freeman's story.
And in looking for a wall, how did you select the library over any other possibilities?
John's been doing a lot of legwork for us.
We did. We tried. I wrote letters and knocked on doors for commercial sites, but did not. Actually, we did have. I can't. There was one place that where there was a lot of interest, but they didn't own their building, and so it looked like we would be able to do it there, but and the person who owned the building itself declined to let us use it. But I think we reached a dead end, and I was just walking down the streets, and was looking at the side of the Mason Library, and I think it's better we think that's, you know, an even better place than anything else we've looked at. And maybe only at, you know, during the day, but I think it's very visible from Main Street, people going by and all the people, you know, the kids accessing the library from the side there and things like that. I think plenty of people would see it there. And the Du Bois statue is going to be out front. And so we think it's an ideal place. So I think if we had thought of it in the beginning, that's where we would have started.
And my one concern in this process is no one at the library, no, the director or any professional staff at the library was apparently consulted or just, you know, this project was not, we were not aware of this at all until the meeting packet for the select board. And that did take the library staff by surprise. And I think in the future, if you had the presence of mind to go and talk to the private landowners, it would have been a courtesy to at least talk to the director, the interim director at the library before this comes out and is presented to the select board.
Yeah.
So
So
let me just
This
answer
would-
that.
I just want to say real quick about Ed. Ed was working at the library the day that I asked him about it. So it's not like I sought him out. He was out front, and I didn't know what the best sequence of bodies to approach with this. It just started off with Mark and Chris, and decided that we'd have to approach all three bodies, and that it would be easiest to start with the select board to get some guidance, and then it wasn't meant to. That's basically it. So
Yeah, as Carol, as you would imagine, if we went to the library staff and hadn't spoken to the select board, we could be having the same conversation in that direction. So it's sort of like the chicken and the egg. We were told that it was best to start with the select board. It really made sense to us. This was just as Steve opened, this is just a start of a conversation, and then we intend to go through all these other channels. So as John said, it wasn't meant as a slight. We're really trying to do it just in the right order of what made sense.
yeah, and we were also working with the town on the street sign, as well as the interpretive display that would go on the town hall campus. So this was kind of like the third thing in the project, and so we'd already been soliciting input and getting advice, so that's it. So, but we can start with and do the library trustees next. So.
Okay, next, Ruby King. Ruby, go ahead. Just state your name and address for the record, please.
Ruby Chang, library trustee, Long Pond Road. So I would like to just clarify, where is the mural? Is it on Pleasant Street or is it in the children's courtyard?
It was along the wall on Church Street to the entrance to the children's library. That's what we were proposing, but.
So I'm confused because the children's courtyard is the back of the library.
Yeah. No,
If
it's not.
it's in the back of the library, no one would see it.
No, we don't want to put it there. We want the Church Street side where
You mean
and we're not
Pleasant Street?
we're not wed to this. I think it was just a site that seemed to make sense to us, but there are better places. I think we would be we'd definitely be open to that. But this is the Church Street side with the side entrance that leads to the children's library.
I see. And how does that implementation coincide with the W.E.B. Du Bois statue that will be probably ready for presentation next summer about the same time?
These are two separate projects.
Yeah.
That as far as the town's concerned, Ruby.
No, I'm talking about timeline.
I think we just wanted to get like preliminary support to go forward with the process here, and you know which wall and the timing and all that stuff, and a lot of the details I think still need to be worked out, and we're just hoping that the town is interested in supporting this in a conceptual way right now, and then we would again, meet with all the bodies, and it sounds like from what Britt was saying, we may have to do this multiple times. And we would, engage all the stakeholders, and maybe this won't happen in 2024, maybe it'll be 2025. But we'll make sure that we take all of the right steps and involve everyone. And so it sounds like it'll have to be an iterative process involving lots of different groups, and we'll make sure it is that.
Just, I guess, can I just ask you a quick question? So I just to be completely clear, Dresser Ave?
Yeah.
Or Pleasant Street? Which side of the building? Just so, because there seems to be some confusion.
I thought it was Church Street, between the Congregational Church and the.
No,
That's
Dresser
Dresser.
Street. Okay, it's Dresser. Sorry.
Pleasant Street.
Or it's Pleasant.
Congregational church.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's Pleasant.
Talking Pleasant Street.
Yeah,
So that's Pleasant.
that's
Street.
Pleasant Street if it's Congregational Church.
But did
Okay.
you say it was near the new entrance, the side entrance?
Did you have a picture when you shared the screen? Didn't you have a picture of it?
Yep.
Let's end this by putting the picture up so we all know where you're talking about.
Okay.
Wow.
So that's the.
Right. The driving north is right there.
That's right there, right?
That's the additional.
Yeah,
right. I'm pretty sure.
The Pleasant Street, I should know that, but yeah, so that's the portion of the building right next to the little entrance that goes right to the children's library.
Okay, that clarifies it. Perfect.
That's my
John,
fault.
Rick, thank you very much.
Oh,
John, go ahead.
I got one
Okay.
quick. Just to add to the mix of things. Just for point of reference. The original courthouse town hall wasn't here. It was
Yeah.
down in the council.
Right, that's why the interpretive display and the street sign will all be kind of next to on town hall or next to town hall, and so in recognition of that's where the courthouse was.
That would have to come to the historic district too.
Right, we're gonna do that, yep. Oh, if we're gonna, we could put it up on town hall. Just kidding, but
Signs come to town, for this commission as well as the town.
Yes.
For all of it.
yep, we'll make sure we
So thank you very much, Britt, John, and Glenn. We look forward to seeing you again.
All right, thank you all.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Need a motion to approve the special town meeting calendar for the proposed special town meeting, October 23rd, 2023, for the merger discussion. That date is not, it won't be earlier than that date, but that date will be fleshed out as we go along, but we do need to approve this calendar, so tomorrow we can open the citizens petitions, if it does happen on the 23rd.
I make a motion to approve the 2023 special town meeting calendar as written.
Second. So I have a motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Citizen speak now. Go ahead.
Hi, Kevin, you can get from Worcester Town. I had a question at the last meeting I listened, and they said that because the health department had no jurisdiction in the water situation because it is a public water supply and it is privately owned. I want to know if the health department or the town select board are obligated to protect the health of the residents of Worcester Town. So if they cannot legally do anything, I would hope that they would take some time and effort to submit information or questions or even harass the DPU or the federal and state water agencies that would have some impact on that. I think the health department should be acting on our behalf. Whether they can do anything, it's gotta be a roundabout way, but I think they're still obligated to do something, and so is the select board. So that's my first thing.
And I'll just speak for the select board, we have been doing things, we do not have we don't have the legal authority to change things, but we have the authority to, as you say, harass, as I say, advocate
Thank you. I do see some of your efforts in this, so that's great that you're doing that. I appreciate it. I think the health department should have a little more input in that. Or at least notify the residents of what they have been doing. One question I had for the board, for the selectmen, the taxpayers of Housatonic and Great Barrington, does any of that funding go towards the Great Barrington water supply?
No,
Nothing at all?
nothing at all.
It's all by rates?
Yes.
Okay, that takes care of that.
Can I just
Yeah, go ahead.
address that? If you look at your tax bill, there's a section on your tax bill for the Great Barrington Fire District. So if the question is, are you as a Housatonic resident paying any portion of Great Barrington Fire District's
Yes.
capital improvements and operating expenses? The answer is no. If you look at your bill, you'll see that box is blank.
Okay, thank you for
So
that.
on my bill, I do live in the fire district, so that section on my bill is complete.
I do appreciate your response on that, and also, we have not paid our Housatonic water for 3 months because we feel we shouldn't be paying for cancer causing water. I suggest that all the water people in Housatonic stop paying that criminal organization that is constantly poisoning them. And also, I think, you gotta hit them in the pocketbook, that's the only way something's gonna happen. So I'd like to see if anybody, comments on that between now and the next meeting. But I do want to thank you guys for your efforts and I appreciate your help in any of this.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Donna, come on in. Oh, did you want to speak? I'll let Donna go and then I'll let you go.
Donna Jacobs, 260 Park Street. Yeah, to add on to that, I know people in my neighborhood who have not been paying their water bill to HWW and they've gotten their turn off notices. Just FYI. So I don't know how that's gonna resolve. They're gonna be in touch with Mr. Mercer and see what they can work out. We've heard a lot today about the infrastructure improvements based on the funding coming through 2024, 2025 through Great Barrington. And there's money through the Environmental Protection Services for water infrastructure improvements. And I think that given all of the frustration and the helplessness and hopelessness that's been going on for ratepayers in Housatonic and people not believing it's ever going to get better and blaming, the town for that, it's created kind of a toxic animosity between people who are like yourselves working really hard to try to improve things and people feeling you're not doing anything at all. And I think the transparency is really very helpful. So seeing the packet that was prepared tonight with the projected and ongoing improvements in Great Barrington, it would be so encouraging if those of us in Housatonic who are hoping for some improvements, some relief with the water situation, kind of have a better sense. I know we don't want to jeopardize your negotiations, but kind of have a better sense that yes, we are going after some of this funding for the revolving funding for infrastructure, water delivery system improvements and upgrades, just so that there's more trust. That's all I guys.
Go ahead.
Kathy Regan, Housatonic. I just had a quick question. What is the requirements or what would it take for a town like Great Barrington to take over a privately held water company like Housatonic Water Works? Like, what would need to happen for that to transpire?
So the only thing I would say, we don't normally answer questions at this time, and I've exceeded my authority a long time ago in doing that, and we haven't talked about this, but you brought it up. To take over, literally take over, is called eminent domain.
Right.
And I would let you look that up, but that usually ends up in a court case and a town paying a lot of money many times for a project, so.
Is that anything Great Barrington would be willing to even consider if there was
Nothing's on the table or off the table.
and I'm just asking, like, as a citizen, what would be the next steps if there was a number of people, hoping that this could happen? And we talked to many people from Housatonic, like, what would be the next steps for something like this? Like, because, it seems like, this is a for-profit business that has made quite a bit of money. I mean, their tax records are online. They've made a lot of money over the years and they're providing really faulty, harmful, and not even legally safe product right now. If it was any other product, in Massachusetts, anything that was not meeting safety standards would be taken off the market immediately. But yet, just as you said, we're all frustrated because it just can continue to happen. And we understand that, you're not to blame, the town of Great Barrington isn't to blame, but we also feel unsupported. Because it's not, $300, $500 is like a drop in the bucket. If you really start looking at water filtration systems, especially ones that can handle something toxic, we're not just talking about a little too much chlorine in the water or something like that. We've got a lot of grit, a lot of grime that clogs up water filters. So even normal water filtration has to be changed much more often. And the original units themselves have to be adequate to handle the type of toxin. So you have to check that out. And we just feel that, there's really nothing happening. He's just getting away with it. It's like he's making a lot of money and he's getting away with really selling a product that does not meet legal standards in the state of Massachusetts.
And I already know the answer to this, but I hope both of you come and speak to the DP here.
Yes.
We'll read it. I think that's, I already knew the answer to that, but I
But
hope
we
you do.
do appreciate you guys even looking at the subject and anything you can do to guide us or help us. And like you said, if there could be a more organized method of relaying information or tracking what's happened to date, I think we all appreciate it so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Can I have one last comment?
real quick.
Okay, yes, I'd like to comment again. I appreciate any efforts on the town or the city, the select board to get, public funding and grants for this. But I don't think any of that should happen until it is a publicly owned company by the town. Otherwise, why are we supporting a history of this guy and putting tax money into bettering his company? I don't think any of that should be done until it's a publicly held company, then public funds can be used to correct it. Thank you.
Thank you. Davila Pruitt?
Yes, hi. I don't know if you can see me, but I'm late to joining this meeting. I'm in New York right now and it was unavoidable, my late attendance. I don't know if it was on the agenda tonight, the 7 minutes of world peace. I
Yeah,
might have
it
missed.
was not, and we can talk about it, but you were supposed to get a proclamation and it never came, so we did not put it on.
Oh, okay. All right.
So there
I'm
was
sorry.
an-
I
there
did.
was an email to you from the town manager asking for that before.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did not see it.
Yeah.
But we actually, the proclamation is not really the, I mean,
Well, we can't do anything tonight because it's not on the agenda.
okay, okay,
So we are meeting the 11th. That'll be our next meeting.
okay. Thank you. I'll be there.
Okay. Okay. Select board time.
Nothing for me.
Eric.
Nothing. Thank
And
you.
I have nothing. Media. Eileen, go right ahead.
Oh, I was just wondering about Alford and going to Mason.
Not on the agenda tonight, maybe on a future agenda.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Okay. By unanimous consent, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.